try to unravel some of the myths and the stereotypes. That's coming up on Impact. It was January last year that the Tuareg people of Mali came to the world's attention, engaging in battles with the Army for Independence. They went on to declare northern Mali independent, an area of mostly desert the size of France, which they renamed ازواد. Months of unrest followed as Islamist rebels capitalized by seizing the same territory. But with the Islamist rebellion now coming to an end, the Tuareg people will play a key role in ensuring the future stability of Mali. So what are the Tuaregs hoping for, and who will they align with? Andy Morgan is a journalist and author who has travelled extensively in Mali. He's in our studio in Bristol in the west of England. And I'm joined here in the studio by Akli Sh'kka, who is a spokesman for the Amouha movement of the Tuareg people. Thank you both very much for joining us. Akli, if I could start with you. One of the reasons that we decided we wanted to have this discussion was to try and distinguish the difference in the relationship, or what the relationship is, between the Tuareg people and the Islamist rebels. Can you explain?
Thank you so much for having me in the studio. And before I answer your question, I feel as a Tuareg, and probably all Tuaregs feel, that the main problem of the grievances of Tuareg are totally diverted into terrorism and terrorists. There is no relation whatsoever between the Tuareg movement. As you know, the movement of ازواد the people of ازواد have been asking for independence since 1963, and since then each 10 years they raise and take to arms to split about Mali. But these terrorists, they only been in the area for 15 years, and if we read the WikiLeaks that's been coming from the American embassy in Bamako in 2010, and probably Andy Morgan will tell about that more than me. These groups, including Bul Mukhtar and other groups in the area, there is a secret agreement between Toumani Touré, the former president of Mali, and these groups to stay in the north of Mali, in Tigharghar mountains, as long as they are not attacking the Malian interests.
But was there not an attempt by the MNLA to form an alliance with Ansar Dine? And in fact, some of Ansar Dine's top leaders are actually Tuaregs.
Yes, yeah, the Ghali himself, I consider him as an Algerian agent who, as you know, that there is a big portion of Tuareg in South Algeria as well as in Libya. And himself, he's an Algerian secret service who's been in the working for Algerians for most of years, go back to 1990s until this time. And I think this, if you wish, I think I could just marriage convenience between Iyad Ansar Dine and the Tuareg. That's it.
Andy, let's bring you in. For so many people, the Tuareg are an unknown quantity. What's been your experience when you've travelled in northern Mali?
Only positive, really. I've always been shown extreme hospitality, friendship, humour, and just general, you know, I've spent some of the best days of my life in northern Mali, in the precise places that are now being talked about as the haunts of Islamists and terrorists, you know, places like Tessalit and Kidal, and I have a lot of friends there. And I must admit, the strange thing about this whole Islamist controversy is that until Yadad Ghali suddenly announced that he'd formed his Islamist militia called Ansar Dine, I'd never experienced an Islamist strain in Tuareg society at all, and I say that from the bottom of my heart.
Andy, you have a deep knowledge of the music of the region, and particularly the band Tinari. When Islamists, as most of us know, that kind of severe, extreme form of the faith, bans music. What would this mean to Tuaregs if they weren't allowed to have music in their daily lives?
It would be like a slow death, basically. Tuareg music, you can hear it there in the background. You know, Tuareg music, Tuaregs cannot exist without music, just as Malians cannot exist without music. It's there at every important stage of their lives. It's their ambassador as well, because many people have come to know the Tuareg through their music, through bands like Tinari Wen and others like Tammy Creston, Terrakaft in recent years. So it means everything to them. And the idea of banning it is frankly absolutely absurd.
Akli, can I ask you about the religion of the Tuaregs? Because here they are being linked, rightly, wrongly you're saying, with this Islamist group. But are they religious? I read somewhere that the word Tuareg means abandoned by God in Arabic.
Yes, absolutely. You know, just what Andy Morgan mentioned is, it's very shocking and surprising that the Tuareg will one day be registered as an extremist or something like that.
So what is your religion?
Basically, I'm a Muslim, but traditionally the Tuareg, that's what one of our conflicts we are finding where we live with the Arabs and Muslims, because always we are accused of being not proper Muslims, because the women in our society is unveiled, while the man probably, if I do it like this, a man only shows his eyes. But the woman is the opposite. The woman is totally free and can marry and can divorce a man whatever in any time she will. And this is not available. This is what makes us, even in the sites we are living with, makes it hard for us. But we are not, we are just practicing our tradition. It's a mix of tradition and religion. I've never seen in my life any extremist Tuareg. So that's why I'm saying this is all totally a game played against Tuareg to not get their independence in this part of the world.
The MNLA, though, are they working with the French at the moment? What is the relationship there?
Well, MNLA is the only independence group that wants defending the rights of Tuareg in ازواد, and they have been fighting with these terrorists for a few years. A lot of fightings, and recently they have been their independence hijacked by these terrorists. And now, of course, if there's any part that's fighting these enemies who's hijacked their the independence which our ancestors were fighting for almost a century now, we have to, cooperate with whoever fighting this, and they are ready as well to fight them.
But they're prepared to cooperate with the French, but there's a difficult relationship with the Malian army. For instance, with the issue with Kidal, they were prepared to work with the French there, but not the Malian army. That is surely going to cause problems now.
Well, without the cooperation and working with the MNLA, we won't see the French troops in Kidal or in Tisalit or anywhere in the north, because the MNLA make it very clear that the Malian army is not welcome in the towns which are under control, because, have you seen, the Malian army have committed a lot of atrocities against the civilians, the people, armless people in Timbuktu, and it is still going on. But there's not a single person in Timbuktu or Gao at this moment, whether Arabs or people, because they kill on the spot.
Andy, how essential do you think the Tuareg are to any kind of peaceful settlement in Mali?
I think they are essential because I'm presuming that genocide isn't an option. The Tuareg of northeastern Mali are Malians at the moment, to all intents and purposes. So you're not, you're not going to balkanize the Sahara. You're not going to sort of drive them out and send them into refugee camps in Algeria. So you have to come to some kind of settlement. And there are many different opinions within the Tuareg community. That is true. But in Kidal, the MNLA are still very strong. In that particular region, they have a lot of support. And, I think Mali needs to look at the way it's built as a country. What kind of relationship do these far-flung regions have with the centre? This is the essential work that needs to be done.
We've been hearing a lot from Akli now about the quest for a homeland. That seems like a bit of a dream at the moment, but do you think that political autonomy could be on the cards in the near future?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, most senior MNLA people have come round to the idea that, for the moment they have to put any idea about an independent ازواد on hold. Akli might disagree with that, but I think realistically that's the option. And, what they're now talking about is a kind of autonomous region, a bit like the autonomous region of Kurdistan in northern Iraq. Of course, that has lots of problems attached to it, which need to be sort of worked out. But what Mali really needs is not just a Tuareg solution. It needs a national solution so that all its people can feel that they're part of, political power in some kind of way, that there is a good balance between all the regions and all the different cultures. It's not just a Tuareg issue, I think it's a national issue.
And Akli, though, can I ask you, just before we end, about what Andy just described there? Would that be enough for you for now to have some kind of political autonomy?
Well, I'm a Libyan and born. I was a Libyan because I just want to make a note here. We are all, although we are the Tuaregs in Libya and Algeria, we are always close together as one family, and always we are sharing the same grievances. You know, there's no that I can't be proud because I come from Libya that I'm free, and it's the opposite. We are all suffering in these countries, and we are suffering of marginalization, you know, execution, and the whole thing. I think the Tuareg, you know, in the Azawad, the least thing that they are fighting for, at least what's Andy saying, is an autonomy. I don't think they will go down to any less than the autonomy. But the independence is the
ultimate aim.
The ultimate aim.
Akli, thank you very much for coming into the studio. Andy, thank you for joining us from Bristol. Fascinating discussion there on the future of Mali and also the role of the Tuareg there. We hope you learned something. I certainly did. Do stay with us here on BBC World News, still to come.